everybody. Welcome to Variety Conversation. I am Lady Walker. This situation happened back on June the 14th, 2020. What happened was 23-year-old Ashley Mache Williams, former employee at Bernini Senior Living Center for patients with Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia in Daphne, Alabama. Well, she was charged with abuse of a corpse, and this is a Class C felony. In Alabama, the standard sentence for a Class C felony is a term between 366 days and 10 years. Now, what had happened was a female resident had died, and Miss Ashley Mache Williams sashayed her behind on into the room with the deceased resident and recorded herself holding up one of the eyelids and poking the deceased woman in the eye, and then bent down laughing in the deceased woman's face, and then turned the camera on herself, lifting one of her eyelids and smile. Okay? And at some point in time, she posted it to social media. Ain't that a crying shame, or ain't that a crying shame? Ashley Mache Williams, you are in trouble. Yes. And of course, the video has since been removed. The incident was reported to police on August the 18th. Even though it happened back on June the 14th, it was reported to police on August the 18th, 2020. By the way, Ashley worked as a nursing assistant at the Senior Living Center at that time. Now, some people said she was a nurse, and some people said she was a nurse assistant. So, whatever. Ashley is also facing a drug charge that stemmed from a traffic stop on June the 13th, 2020. Anyway, this traffic stop was due to reckless driving. And upon that stop, the officer smelled marijuana. Other names, Mary Jane, reefer, weed, pot, grass, dope, and a host of other street names. Now, there are some states where marijuana is legal for medical and recreational use, but not Sweet Home Alabama. Also, the officer found 95 tramadol pills in an unlabeled bottle that she said she got from her sister because she actually had a toothache, but that she didn't have a prescription for the tramadol pills. Talk about throwing your sister under the bus for something she probably didn't do. Ashley, where did you really get those tramadol pills? And according to court records, she has been arrested 4 times over the last 5 years. Don't you just hate it when somebody brings up your past transgressions as if those past transgressions are conducive to your present lack of moral compass? Anywho, Ashley, what in the hickory dickory dock were you thinking when you did this? Did you have any idea that this tomfoolery would come back to bite you in the derriere? What would possess someone to do something like this apart from the obvious? The devil made you do it. Oh yes, the devil probably enticed you to do it, but you put forth the action, so it's your doing, not the devil's. Although the devil does roam about the earth, seeking whom he may devour. Social media, Ashley, is not your friend when it comes to something as senseless and tasteless as this. If you are fishing for attention and likes, this is not the video for it. Never in a day is this the video for it. Let's see what some of you think about the Ashley Mache situation. Okay, dope. Music Lover 101 says, why are they so stupid and record themselves doing this disgusting stuff? Willette Brown says, this is why I'm always saying everyone is not meant to be in the nursing field. And I concur with that. Not everyone is meant to be in that field. Even though you take the classes and you take the state board and you pass it, that doesn't mean that you are meant to be in that field. because you really have to have compassion, okay, for people in nursing homes, children in daycare, and even those in the hospital. You really got to have some compassion for those people, okay? Trisha Tolkien says, when you play stupid games, you always win a stupid prize. I am sure this is not the only corpse this woman has disrespected. Shaking my head. Cynthia Miles says, being 23-year-old is considered being an adult. She's too old not to know better and need to put down the weed. I know, right? She could have really been on something to do that kind of crap. Karen Brown says, police don't have to work hard now. Criminal just video themselves and give evidence to social media. That they do. That they do. And I hope that they keep on making it easy for the police to get them, especially when they are doing wrong. Okay? Shani B says, no offense to geriatric care workers who do what they're supposed to do, but this is why some of us do everything possible to just care for our loved ones at home, because we don't want to risk them being abused, mistreated, or neglected at some facility by someone like this female. As much as these places charge, they need to do better with drug testing and psych evaluations for their staff. And if you can't avoid your family being placed in these facilities, please visit them often. Get to know the staff names and faces, and make sure you're visible and vocal so that your loved one doesn't become one of the many abused, mistreated, or neglected victims. Only elderly and incapacitated loved ones deserve better. And then Elsa Faust says, the more often family visits, it increases the chance that the loved ones will get better care. Try not to be predictable with your visitation. Show up at 8 a.m., 3 p.m., 10 p.m., and 6 a.m. Staff will be careful at all times because they don't know when to expect you. Have a good rapport with the roommate. They will tell you what is going on when you are not there. My mother is in a nursing home, and since COVID has been on the scene, of course, anyone that has a loved one in a nursing home are not able to visit them. And that's the sad part, because you don't really know how they are being treated. Lord Jesus, I tell you what, you really have to stay in prayer on behalf of your loved one. Because again, like I said, you just really don't know how they are treated. And I know before COVID came on the scene, I would visit my mom a certain day every week because she is like an hour away from me. And 3 of my sisters stay in that area. So I would visit like once a week. And then when I go, I would stay for at least 5 or 6 hours. And the workers knew the day that I would come all the time. So every now and then I couldn't come on that day, and I would show up on a different day. But for the most part, I would go to visit on a Wednesday. And that is so true. Try not to be predictable. Now, not everybody is able to show up at various times because of their job. It just so that I have that flexibility to be able to do that. And one of my sisters, she was certainly able to visit more so than my other 2 sisters and myself. But thank God that she was able to do that. She was able to show up and keep an eye on what was going on, because there were times when it seemed like neglect had taken place. So I agree, if you can visit at different times, and try not to be predictable. But of course, I know not everyone is able to do that. Okay, Kenneth Morris says, 95 pills? Who had a toothache? King Kong? I know, 95 tramadol. Okay, Sandra D says, that woman ghost should have slept the $4 plus out of her. That's funny. She should have slept the $4 plus out of her. I am going to sleep the $4 plus out of you. You just keep it up. Brian Keith says, what in the weekend at Bernie's is going on here? I know, right? Corey N.T. says, they need to bring a priest up to that jail to give her an exorcism, cause You have got to be demonically possessed to do what she did. And don't nobody, okay? And don't nobody take Tramadol for a toothache, because, baby, you will still have that toothache. You just won't be mad about having the toothache. That's all. A feeling of euphoric is all Tramadol is good for. It's useless for real pain. She's just a drug addicted demon. Shaking my head. And then Sexy Keita says, them weak ass pills for arthritis, LOL. I didn't know they were a narcotic. Natural Curly Hair says, it's sad when people just can't do their jobs, especially dealing with other humans. Some job just isn't for everybody. Thank you for telling on yourself. That is so true. Going back to what I said earlier, yes, some job isn't for everybody, and people get into those jobs because they need the money. They don't have the patience, they don't have the compassion, but they'll take that job anyway. Deborah Hill says, it takes a special breed of people to work in long-term care positions. Compassion and empathy is essential. Exactly. Okay, the Church Lady Reed Show TM says she needs no bond and no freedom. Lock her up and throw away the keys and leave her to rot, and let the guards do her corpse like she did that lady's. She deserved no mercy and no protection. Wow, Church Lady, that's a little harsh from that standpoint. I wouldn't wish that on her. Now, of course, if that was my mom, somebody did that to my mom, I would be literally pissed, but not to the point of her being locked up like that and not giving her any mercy or anything from that standpoint from what she had done. But I would just say, terminate her from her job. But I wouldn't go to the extent that you said. Okay. But like I said before, everybody has an opinion. Okay, dog. Beautifully Mastered says, good. But why? What is wrong with you, Ashley? You could have had it easy, but you'd rather make it hard. What would make you think that was cute? And then you put it on videotape. Good. They need to throw you in a straight jacket. Prayer for the victim family. How disrespectful. Miss Brandy says, people will sell their souls for clout on social media. May justice prevail. BB Jordan says, mental illness is real. People walking around like they normal, but need to be locked up somewhere in a padded room. Well, BB, I would say this. Not every sadistic, evil, disrespectful thing that a person does is related to mental illness. I know we like to just, say every despicable thing that a person does is mental illness related, but it isn't. Sometimes it's just being foolish, and it's just being stupid, and it just means being diabolic, but it's not always mental illness, okay? Tammy Lene says, that was very inappropriate and disrespectful. However, they always want to make an example out of black women and men. She didn't harm, kill, or rape, so she shouldn't get any time, just like fired like cops. Okay, I get what she's saying. You know how some of these cops get caught? They get fired, but they don't go to jail. Some of those cops who commit police brutality. Okay, gotcha. Leonard Johnson says, ever since this epidemic, it seems that a lot of people are showing out for the devil. Well, Leonard, I gotta tell you like the tis, ever since this pandemic, people haven't just started acting that way. People have been showing out for the devil way before COVID came on the scene. They've been showing out from the beginning of time, okay? So it hasn't just started happening. Just saying. Gregory Bullock says, social media is mind control. All depends on the good and evil side of it. Most do it for the likes. It's all mind programming. Yep, about the size of it. January says, what kind of devilment is this? After people have done everything under the sun, they start making up stuff to do. Well, beloved, I tell you what, that is all she wrote, okay, for the time being on this topic. Feel free, oh yes, feel free to share your perspective on the said situation. And in the meantime, love, y'all come back to visit me when you can. Okie doke, ta-ta.